King Arthur's Knights, Chapter 4 The Knight of the Kitchen. It was the feast of Pentecost, and King Arthur was holding his court of the Round Table at the city of Kenadon, hard by the sea in Wales. In the high hall the tables were set for dinner, and the floor was freshly strewn with rushes, flowers, and fennel, so that the place smelled as sweet as a field. The cook and the scullions came to and fro through the door of the kitchen with anxious faces, for they feared lest the meats should be overdone. But as yet King Arthur would not sit to dinner, for it was his custom never to go to meat on that day until he had heard or seen some great marvel or adventure. Sir Gawain stood looking from a window in the bower where the king sat with the queen, and suddenly he turned with a laugh and said, "Sir, go to your meat, for here, I think, cometh a strange adventure." And even as the king took his seat on the high dais in the hall, and his knights sat at the round table, through the great door of the hall came two men, well beseen and richly dressed, and leaning on their shoulders was a tall, fair young man, as goodly in strength and breadth as ever was seen, with hands large and fair. But he was either lazy or ill-conditioned, for he leaned upon his fellows as if he were unable to stand upright. And the three of them marched through the hall, speaking no word, and they came to the foot of the dais, while men sat silent and marveling. Then the young man raised himself upright, and it was seen that he was 1.5 feet taller than those beside him. "God bless you, O king," said the young man, "and all your fair fellowship, and in especial the fellowship of the Round Table. I come to crave of your kindness 3 gifts, and they are such as ye may worshipfully and honorably grant unto me. And the first I will ask now, and the others I will ask at the same day 12 months, wheresoever ye hold your feast of Pentecost." "Ask," said the king, "and ye shall be granted your petition." "The first is this," said he, "that ye give me meat and drink and lodging here for a year." "Willingly," said the king, "but what is your name, and whence come you? Ye have the bearing of a good lineage." "That is as may be," was the reply, "but I may tell you naught, if it please your lord." Then King Arthur called Sir Kay his steward, and bade him tend the young man for a year, as if he were a lord's son. "There is no need that he should have such care," sneered Sir Kay, who was a man of a sour mind. "I dare swear that he is but a villain born. If he were of good blood, he would have craved a horse and harness. And since he hath no name, I will drub him Beaumans, or Fair Hands, for see how soft his hands are. And he shall live in the kitchen, and become as fat as any pig." But Sir Launcelot and Sir Gawain reproached Sir Kay for his mocking of the young man. "For," said Sir Launcelot, "I dare lay my head he hath the making of a man of great worship." "That cannot be," said Sir Kay. "He has asked as his nature prompted him. He will make naught but fat, for he desires only meat and drink. On my life, I would swear he is only some lazy fellow from an abbey where food hath failed, and so he has come hither for sustenance." So Sir Kay sat down to his meat laughing, and Beaumans went to the door of the hall, where the varlets and the boys ate the leavings from the table. But he fared badly there, for they jeered at him as Sir Kay had done. Afterwards, Sir Launcelot, of his great gentleness and courtesy, bade him come to his chamber to be better fed and clothed. And Sir Gawain, because of a liking he felt in his heart for the young man, proffered him good meat and drink and a soft bed. But then, and at all other times, Beaumans refused, and would do nothing but what Sir Kay commanded. Thus he lived in the kitchen, eating broken scraps and lying at night where the scullions lay, except that he was given the chilliest spot furthest from the fire. But he did what he was bidden to do with a cheerful air, and was ever willing to work. And if there was any jousting of knights, or any other sights of prowess, these would he see with the greatest delight. In any sport or trials of strength, or skill among the serving men, he was ever foremost, and none could overcome him in wrestling or at quarterstaff, nor could any throw the bar or cast the stone so far as he could. No, not by 2 yards. Whenever Sir Kay met him about the hall or the kitchen, he would laugh mockingly, and to those about him he would say, "Well, how like you, my huge boy of the kitchen?" But to such sneers, and to all the other scorns and insults of the varlets of the kitchen, Beaumans would answer naught, and was ever quiet and mild, whatever he endured. And to all was he ever gentle, both man and child, and he never put forth his great strength in anger. Thus a year passed, until again it was the feast of Pentecost. And at that time the king held it at his chief city in Wales, Caerleon upon Usk. And again the feast was royally prepared in the great hall of the court. But the king would not give the signal to sit to meat until he should have heard or seen some strange adventure. But about noon a squire came to where the king waited, and said, "Lord, I am bidden to say ye may go to your meat, for there cometh a damsel with some strange adventure." Quickly the king sat at the high seat, and the cooks brought in the smoking collops of meat and the dishes of savory stew. And as they began to eat, there came a maiden of a plain sharp visage, who made her way to the steps of the dais, and there, kneeling, cried, "Succor and help I crave of you, O king." "For whom?" said the king, "and for what reason?" "Sir," said the maiden, "my lady sister is of great beauty and renown, and is besieged in her castle by a tyrant knight, who will not let her go forth from her castle. And because it is said that here in your court are the noblest knights in all the world, I come to you praying for aid." "What is your lady sister's name?" asked the king, "and where doth she dwell? And tell me, who is he that doth besiege her?" "Sir king," said the lady, "I may not tell you my sister's name, but she is of great beauty and of wide lands. And the tyrant knight who besieges her is the Red Knight of Reedlands." "I know him not," replied the king. "Sir," cried Sir Gawain from his seat, "I know him well. He is one of the perilous knights of the world, for he hath the strength of 7 men, and from him I once escaped barely with my life." "Fair lady," said the king, "I would help you willingly, but as ye will not tell me your lady's name, none of my knights here shall go with you with my consent." The damsel looked about the hall with a quick, angry glance, and the knights that sat there liked not her sour looks. Then from the crowd of scullions and kitchen lads that hung about the serving tables at the side of the hall came Beaumans, his dress smirched, but his handsome face lit up and his eyes burning with eagerness. "Sir King," he cried, holding up his hand, "a boon I crave." As he came to the step of the dais, the damsel shrank from him, as if he had been something foul. "Say on," replied the king to the young man. "God thank you, my king," went on Beaumans. "I have been these 12 months in your kitchen, and have had my full living, as ye did graciously order. And now I ask for 2 further gifts ye promise." "Ye have but to ask," replied the king. "Sir, they are these," said Beaumans. "First, that you will grant me this adventure of the damsel." "I grant it you," said King Arthur. "Then, sir, this is the other, that ye shall bid Sir Launcelot du Lake to follow me, and to make me a knight when I shall desire him." "All this shall be done, if Sir Launcelot think it well," said the king. But the lady was exceedingly wroth, and her eyes flashed with scorn as she turned to the king. "Shame on thee!" she cried. "Will you give me a kitchen scullion to aid me?" With that, she hastened from the hall, mounted her horse, and rode away. Even as she went forth, a dwarf in the dress of a page entered the hall, leading a great horse richly caparisoned, and on the saddle was piled a splendid suit of armor. And the dwarf went up to Beaumans and began to arm him, while men asked each other whence came all this fine gear. When he was dressed in armor, all the knights marveled to see how goodly a man he looked. Then Beaumans took leave of King Arthur and of Sir Gawain, and asked Sir Launcelot to follow him. Many people went to the door of the hall to see Beaumans mount his horse and ride after the damsel, and the way he sat his steed, with his trappings of gold and purple, excited their admiration. But all wondered to see that Beaumans had neither shield nor spear, and some laughed and said, "The ignorant churl! Doth he think the mere sight of him on horseback will affright his enemies, that he carries neither shield nor lance?" Sir Kay sneered with him, and suddenly getting up from his seat, he cried, "By my faith, I will go after my kitchen boy and see whether he will still know me for his better." "Ye had better bide at home," said Sir Launcelot, and Sir Gawain agreed. But Sir Kay laughed them aside, and having swiftly put on his armor, he took his spear and his shield and rode after Beaumans. He caught up with the youth just as the latter reached the side of the damsel, and Sir Kay cried out with a scornful laugh, "What, Beaumans, do ye not know me?" "Ay," replied Beaumans, "I know ye for the most ungentle knight in all of King Arthur's court, and therefore keep you off from me." "Ah, churl," cried Sir Kay, "thou needest a lesson from me. A beggar, though he be on horseback, is still a beggar." With that, he put his lance in rest and dashed toward Beaumans, expecting an easy victory. But the young man, putting the lance aside with his sword just as it was about to strike him, rushed upon Sir Kay with a deft thrust, struck him through a joint of his armor, so that Sir Kay fell backward off of his horse to the ground. Swiftly leaping down, Beaumans took possession of his opponent's spear and shield, and commanded his dwarf to mount upon Sir Kay's horse. Then, after remounting, Beaumans rejoined the damsel, who had seen all that had taken place, but said nothing. At that moment they saw Sir Launcelot coming toward him. He had seen Sir Kay's discomfiture, and wondered at the mastery which Beaumans had shown. "Fair sir," cried Beaumans, turning and drawing rein as Sir Launcelot approached, "I would joust with you, if ye will." "Have at you, then," replied Sir Launcelot with a laugh, and with spear in rest they set their horses at a great gallop. They came together so fiercely that they were both thrust backward from their saddles and fell to the earth, half stunned and greatly bruised. Sir Launcelot recovered first and ran to help Beaumans to his feet, and then with their shields before them, they continued the combat with swords. For an hour they strove fiercely, thrusting, striking, and parrying like two great boars in a forest clearing. Sir Launcelot was astonished to feel how great was the young man's strength, how swift were his thrusts, and how powerful were his blows. He recognized that Beaumans was a dangerous fighter, and that he himself would have much to do to overcome him. "Beaumans," he cried at length, "fight not so hard, lad. Our quarrel, if we have aught, is surely not so great that we cannot leave off." "That is true," said Beaumans, laughing as he dropped the point of his weapon. "But, Sir Launcelot, it doth me good to feel your wondrous skill and the strength of your arm. Yet, my lord, I have not shown the uttermost of mine." "By my faith, I believe you," cried Sir Launcelot, "for I should have much ado to keep myself from shameful defeat if you should really push me to the utmost. Therefore I say that you need not fear any earthly knight." "I thank you for your good words," replied Beaumans. "And do you think I may hope at any time to become a proved knight? Fight as you have fought with me, and I have no doubt of you." "Then I pray you, my lord," said Beaumans, "give me the order of knighthood. Ere I do that, you must tell me your name, and of what kin you were born," replied Sir Launcelot. "If you will promise to tell no one, I will reveal it." And we're going to pause here, and we'll continue with this story in the next video. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. As Tigger says, ta-ta for now.